works different ways for different people. You know? Okay, cool. All right, then. So we're going to be talking about it more and more and more to help you with it, okay? And does everybody else understand the emotion and how it works, okay? Okay, because I had to learn one time I didn't understand. I was like the only one in the room that I didn't, but now I do. I know how God's power comes to come in. I'm understanding. So what you want to do is just go. Some people are playing. Some people it's not here for you. As you go to different places, some people say they got it and they don't. Some people think they have it, but they don't understand that they don't, you know. But some people are playing, they know they don't have it, but they just don't want you to have it, you know. And so it's all those different things, but you have to understand yourself. So the anointing. And we're getting ready to go to the box. So let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we pray that your will is done in this Bible study. We pray, Father, give us understanding. In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. 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 So before we get into the message tonight, we're talking about the anointing, okay? And what is the anointing? You can tell me what the anointing is. We talked about it within the description.
The anointing is from God, and it is a substance from God that gives you the ability or the power to do something, or to do something that only God can give you the ability to do.
Amen. So say it one more time.
The anointing is given from God, and it is a substance, and it's from God that with that ability, with that substance, you can do something you couldn't do before.
Right.
From God.
Right. And it's good to say, because the anointing is what we're talking about only comes from God. There's a lot of things out there, but what we're talking about only comes from God. Okay? Amen. All right. And so what about
it's a substance.
It's a substance.
And it is from God, and it gives you the ability to do something that God would have you do. So anointed to sing, or anointed to draw, or anointed to cook.
Right. And so you're right. The anointing is actually a substance from God that comes upon you. All right. And depending on how well or how heavy it is, it can be seen upon you, or it may not be seen. But it's not the important thing. But the anointing that comes upon you from God gives you an ability, okay, from God to do what you could not do before.
Amen. It's a supernatural ability.
It's a supernatural ability. Yes. Yes, it's supernatural in a way. Yes.
You can't do it in the natural.
You can. Yes, it's kind of, you know, there's some things that God can touch and you do it in the natural, but it is energized by the supernatural. In other words, God can cause you, anoint you to be a great painter. And what you're doing could say natural, but really it's God's ability giving you that ability to do that, you know, painting. But then there's also an anointing for supernatural ability. I mean, that gives you something like you can lay hands and the sick can be healed. You know? Or you can, God can give you the gift where miracles happen. Okay? So it happens those two ways. All right? But that anointing comes from God. All right? So that's the important thing. The anointing comes upon you. So now, once the anointing comes upon you, you want to understand the manifestation of the anointing. Okay? What does it mean? What does it look like for you? What does it feel like? How do you operate it? Okay? Now there's an anointing, and then there's God's Spirit. See, God's Spirit can come upon you, okay? And see, there's certain things can happen. God can bear witness, okay? Does anybody, like maybe the word is spoken, somebody says something to God, and God bears witness to your spirit? Okay. Mm-hmm. Can you give an example of how that happens? How you feel? How do you know?
Sometimes it's like on the inside, yeah, he kind of leaps out like it's
right. Exactly. And like leaps out what you say?
Excitement.
Excitement. Mm-hmm. So in other words, it can touch your In other words, you get the light bulb closer.
Exactly.
You just get to understand, whoa, that's what I've been wanting. That's what I finally understand what God is saying, all right? And then there's another thing like God can touch like a kid, like whoop, just like that, or the power can just hit you like that. But just different things, can happen, and that that it is God that just touches you that way. So all those sort of things. So you want to understand how the Spirit moves, how the Spirit bears witness with your spirit, and then you want to understand the anointing, okay? Because anointing is something different, all right? So a lot of people feel the presence of God, right? But they may not necessarily be anointed, okay? But they got the presence. So these are some things that you want to learn as you continue to walk with God. And first, when you start happening, you may not realize it's God, but after a while, and as you continue, oh, maybe that's God, because He will confirm what is Him. All right. Any other questions, comments? So it's like a journey of understanding. Yes.
Sometimes I guess like when the witness comes, like sometimes I get like goosebumps too. So sometimes, or maybe like sometimes if I'm doing like a prophetic word, and I'm not sure that it is a prophetic word, but I'll keep speaking and then goosebumps will come, and then I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, goosebumps, but you have to be sure.
Right.
And make sure. So when you get more and more sensitive, you'll understand when, like you said, it's goosebumps when it's God, or it's goosebumps or something else. So it's like that small little line. Right. And
I was just scratching my ear.
Okay.
But
That's deep.
Well, now that you mention it, anointing is kind of like your spirit man just moves.
Yeah.
It's like you feel it. You feel yourself, like your spiritual self, like just have a movement. And that's the best way I can describe it.
Okay. And the reason why we're going to talk about it, because everybody doesn't feel it the same way. So you have to understand how God moves according to you. Okay. A lot of things sometimes are similar, but just because you don't feel it the way someone else feels it, you can kind of get discouraged or think it's not God. But you want to understand God's moving. Okay. But the important thing is God moving. Okay. All right. So now I want to get into the word. I want to go to Hebrews chapter 11. All right, and we're going to champions of faith. Okay, so we're going to talk about faith. Faith is one of the most important things that we need to be experts in. Okay, because we need to be experts in faith. We want to be able to reach the great things of God.
Did you say champions of faith?
Champions of faith. Does everybody feel like they really understand what faith is? Because we actually kind of went over last week. So, okay. All right, so read this verse. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Right? So, any comments on one? Or questions? Okay, well, we'll continue. Pastor Alice, can you read verse 4?
By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of this gift, and by it he being dead yet speaking.
Yeah. So, before we go to verse 4, we're going to talk about verse 4. Why is faith important?
Because it's true belief in God. You believe God no matter what it looks like and no matter what it sounds like. You just believe God as He said.
Okay.
Without it, it's impossible to please Him.
And without it's impossible to please Him. That's right. That's right. Amen. Very good. Okay. Anyone else? Amen. Now, what does faith do? Of course, faith does please God. What else does it do? So faith is one of the things that we live by. Right? And live by meaning what?
That's who we are.
That's who we are. All right. That's who we are. Okay. 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 So as we read these examples of champions of faith, okay, because in verse 1 through 3, it gives us a definition and an example. Because it first talks about how God used faith. Amen. All right. Which is wonderful that we can operate the way God does. Okay. But still, sometimes it's kind of like some people, for whatever reason, don't believe that they can enter into that place. But now we have not only God operating faith, but now we see examples of how men and women operating faith, so it can kind of give us a better example how they entered in also, so that encourages us that we can enter in. So in these stories, and some of these things, y'all being Bible students that you are, and how y'all understand the Bible, we may have y'all going to tell the story of the person. Okay, so the first person we're talking about is Abel, and Pastor Alice said that by faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. All right. So who wants to tell us about what happened between Cain and Abel in the sacrifice? Who wants to give us a story? Okay.
When Abel offered God his sacrifice, he gave him the best. He picked from the first, the very best that he had. Cain just gave him something. And his sacrifice was what God, Abel's sacrifice, what God was looking for. He favored it. And Cain got upset and he slew his brother.
Now, one thing I want to say, when we read the scripture, did the scripture say that Abel gave his best and Cain just gave him something?
I don't know the words exactly how it's stated, but I know that's the sum of the words. That he gave his best. I think he said Abel bought him, I forgot which words he used, what is this or something? I don't know exactly what he said, but it referred to, you knew that it was the best. And then to Cain is like, you just bought me something.
Well, see, one thing that we know we can say is that by the scriptures, that Abel's offering was accepted by God.
Amen.
And Cain's offering was not.
Right.
And then God said to Cain, because Cain's countenance dropped, he said that if you want to do well, you know the way is before you. So just do it the way that Abel did it, basically. That's what he's saying. And so you're going to more like that what Abel did, maybe his heart towards him, he gave him the best, and that was the difference. Okay. But it says here, by faith, Abel offered unto God. Now, who wants to conquer that? What's that mean? By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. Because we know by the scriptures, it was a more excellent sacrifice, and it was a sacrifice that God accepted, and God did not accept Cain. But by faith, what does that mean? He offered unto God.
He pleased God with his faith.
Well, he pleased God with his faith. So do you think that's what it means by faith? Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice. Does it mean that he pleased God? Say it one more time.
Because it says without faith it's impossible to please him.
Okay.
So his faith had to please God.
All right.
I think it also kind of proved who he was before the fact.
Mm-hmm. Right. It proved who he was.
And God knows, like when we get okay, say like you get paid or whatever. God knows if you take that 10% first and set it aside, if you want to add to it, great. He knows if you take that and do not touch it, and then take care of your business, that's an excellent thing. But if you take care of your business and go shopping and go to the movies and get your car washed and then pull 10% of what you have left, that is not.
Okay. So I'm not disagreeing with that, any of these things, but it says in verse 1, now faith is a substance of things hoped for and an evidence of things not seen. Okay. All right. So the evidence of things not seen. So Cain didn't understand. He couldn't see it. But there's something there that Abel operating so by faith. He's operating something. And what he operated in this faith, he offered unto God. So it's like this. Let's say if Carlton was, let's say if Carlton had a headache. By faith, I would touch him, and rebuke it in Jesus' name. Amen. But I'm not doing it in my own strength. I'm not doing it like, oh, I just can do it. I'm doing it by faith. There's something that's in us that we have from God that we operate in that is available to us. That we do it by faith. Now we may not see, so if I do it and say, wow, people say, wow, this, the headache's gone, amen. They said, well, how do you do that? I said, I did it by faith. They said, what do you mean? I can touch him. I'll do that too. And when they do it, it don't work. Why didn't it work? Because it wasn't by faith. See, Abel was operating in something that Cain did not understand. And see, the dynamics of it, of course, the more excellent sacrifice, the dynamics was that he probably did give him the best. He did something that God would accept, but it was something in him that you do it by faith. Amen. It's kind of hard to understand, but that's why we want to go by this example here. It says by faith, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Amen. So when I'm doing this, okay, I have the word of God, that by his stripes we are healed. Or God has told me that when I lay hands on the sick, they recover. So God has told me something, and I'm doing this by the word of God. I'm doing it in confidence, and I move by faith. And there's something about faith. It's like when you operate in faith, it is energized by the Holy Ghost. All right? And when you do, and this is what you were talking about. See, I don't know if everyone was here, but Vanessa was talking about, I believe she said she was praying for someone. All right? And of course, she's doing it by faith, because she knows the scripture. But as she was saying it by faith, the anointing of the Spirit rose up in her, right? And now she's operating something that everybody doesn't understand. And can you tell it? So, and so the person on the other end, they didn't understand exactly what's going on. They couldn't receive it because they didn't understand faith. Can you say that one more time?
But this person taught me a lot about that years ago. And I think she may be able to do because she said. But anyway, I was praying for her. And as soon as I started praying, I felt God's power rise and it was just flowing.
So you were praying for her. Why were you praying?
Because she's in the hospital.
But it's more to that than that. Why were you praying?
Because of faith. I know God could heal her.
Right.
And he would heal her.
Right.
And so as soon as I started praying.
So you knew. So you had confidence. You had expectation.
Yes.
Because of your relationship with God and the word of God.
Right.
And that's why you're doing what you're doing. You're not just doing it, you just know.
No.
And I can just do it. Right. So you knew. You know what I'm saying? But see, this helps everybody, in the audience.
Yeah.
So you knew by the word of God, all right, what faith does and by his promises. So now you have the expectation. And now you're going to pray, right? So talk us through that. Okay, well, I knew because God has healed me several times just by me believing, right? Even if I pray for myself. So I started praying for her, and then as soon as I started, his presence just rose up in me, and it was really flowing until she said, "Thank you, Vanessa." And as soon as she said it, it was like she pushed a button. It was flowing. It went pop, just like that. And then, I didn't tell you this part, but I've told her before, shared with her before, don't do that because it's really disrespecting God.
And all I know to do is say what I read and learned and what's happened for me. I can't make people do. So after I told her that she should give God all the glory and not to thank me, she didn't seem to get it. And then I just told her, I said, listen, when you, God's anointing was here, and as soon as you said thank you, Vanessa, it stopped. And then after that, she couldn't hear anything.
So you see the example between Cain and Abel. Cain, his counts went down, he got whatever got mad at, whatever it was. He couldn't receive, he couldn't enter into it because he didn't have the faith, right? And so what happens is a great example how someone cannot enter in what God provided for them because someone is moving by faith, right? And and so what is someone's laying hands or whatever they're doing, they're moving by faith. But if you will not cooperate, you can cut it off. So what happened with Abel what Cain was, he didn't understand it, was in the flesh, and then he could not enter into the blessings of God. And because of that, he not only wouldn't enter into it, he actually did something of the opposite and then entered into a curse because he ended up, hurting his brother, actually killing his brother. All right. So in these stories, we're going to talk about, so Abel offered, see, sometimes when people outside, they don't understand why we do what we do. They don't understand why we give our tithes. They don't understand why we give our offerings. They don't understand why we lift our hands in praise. They don't understand why we go through the tough times with a smile on our face, because it's the faith that's in us. And someone can kind of try to, do the same thing, right? But if they don't have the faith, then it's going to fall short. And they say, well, I tried to do the same thing, it's not working for me. Well, you don't have the faith, you have to understand what faith is. And so this is one of the things that so many saints, they kind of have an understanding what it is, but they don't. So we in this church, we really want to understand what faith is, so we go to the highest place in God. All right? So number 5. Vanessa, could you read verse 5 and 6, please?
Yes, sir. Hebrews chapter 11, verses 5 and 6. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
Now, these are 2 really good verses about faith. So, as we continue to give us more and more a greater picture about faith and how it operates. So, any comments on these 2 verses or questions?
I have a question about verse 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So what I'm trying to figure out is like, it says signs and wonders follow the believer, or should follow. There should be demonstration if you have faith. So if someone isn't a believer, but they're sick, and they come for healing, and they don't necessarily believe themselves that they can be healed. They don't really know God yet. They don't know God's power. But yet, a miracle happens to show that person, a healing miracle happens. God's power is displayed, and then they see a demonstration, and then they turn to him. So how is that? Is it just the faith of the person who was prayed that gets the miracle through, or because otherwise no one would ever get healed who's not a believer?
That's right. It's through the person who believes because of their faith. So because of the person who, like you said, laying hands, the person was having faith. And sometimes if that person is having faith, they won't get healed, but through God's sovereignty, sometimes it will happen. But when it does happen, and that person doesn't believe, it's because one, I believe God's mercy, but really the faith comes from the person who's praying. They believe, right? And God's not denying that person because evidence of his faith that his other person can be healed. All right? Well, I want to ask a question. Good question. What is it to be translated? What does that mean?
To be moved from one place to another.
To be moved from one place to another. Okay. To be moved from one place to another. So, in other words, if I pick up Carlton and put him in the other room, is that translated?
Well, God translated him.
Also, if God picked him up, would that be translated?
The power of God does. He could just like he did it, and back in Genesis, it said in the walk of God. So he pleased God and showed that he pleased God.
Right. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we have the internet audience. We're Christians. Everybody don't always understand what we're talking about, so we're making it plain. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we all are waiting on the promise, and the faithful ones. Not saying nobody is not having any faith, but if you do, he'll move you from. He will promote you or move you to the place that he promised.
Yeah. But this translation is this: that he would disappear, and then he would go somewhere else and appear. That's the translation that we're talking about. Okay. So this is a supernatural thing that a man cannot do. If you're talking about, it's maybe like Star Trek when they're energized, they go from the ship, and then you see them on that planet. It is a supernatural thing that God can do. It happened in Acts with Philip. That Philip was in one place, and so he disappeared. And he's in another place. He was translated. There's another type of translated too. It's when your body changes. Okay, all right, and that's what happened on Mount Transfiguration. When Jesus, his body changed. I believe it changed into a spirit body. His body just changed. It's something that only God can do. Okay, but it says here, because we want to understand, it says here, by faith Enoch was translated. And I want someone to explain this to you, Bible students. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. All right? So take me through this and how this works with Enoch. So
he never went through physical death. Like he was just translated to heaven. So he never died, per se, in the way that he probably most likely experienced it. His body never died, he just went to heaven. And probably his body was glorified once he got there.
And when you ask that question, I thought you would get to this, but this is a process that I'll go through and see if you Bible students agree with me. And I want to go by the scripture. It says, by faith, Enoch was translated, okay? But she was changed. That's, he's not here, he's in heaven. That he should not see death. That he said he didn't die. And he was not found, of course, because God had taken him. Because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had his testimony that he pleased God. So this is the way it worked, okay? By faith, Enoch was translated. But why was he translated, okay? Because before he believed he was going to be translated, because God had promised him he was going to be translated. And he believed God. And because he believed God, he pleased God. So, of course, he's probably doing other things. He's pleasing God. And so because of his faith, his walk, God said, I'm going to translate you. You know what? At this point, as far as we know, it had never happened again. Nobody ever knew what's that, But God said he's going to translate, and he believed God. All right? And he pleased God. And because of that, his faith, he was translated. So that's how the promise happens. Just like like Vanessa, any of us, we have a promise first, right? And we believe God for this promise. And as we believe God for it, next thing we have a promise because of our faith in believing God. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you for that.
I'm sure. So now we're going to go to verse 7. All right. All right. Emma, could you please read verse 7, please?
It was by faith that Noah built a large boat to save his family from the flood. He obeyed God, who warned him about things that had never happened before. By his faith, Noah commanded the rest of the world, and he received the righteousness that comes by faith.
Amen. All right. So, any comments or questions on this? So, each and every one of us is given an example of faith, and these people please God with their faith. So, any comments on?
Another question.
Yes.
This verse 7. That by faith, being warned of God from things not seen as yet, and said, moved with fear in heart to the saving of his house. I understand when it says move with fear, that's fear of the Lord. But also, it says, Lord did not give us the spirit of fear. So this fear of the Lord is different than the fear that Jesus is saying.
Right.
What would be the difference? Just for the internet audience, and also, is fear here different from talking about in Hebrew, the fear of what Jesus was talking about? When I'm talking about Hebrew, they're different words, different.
So, do you want to take that in a quick one? But you have the understanding.
The first, the first one, yes. The second one, I have no idea. Okay. So when you're talking about the fear of the Lord, that means I guess reverence, the respect of the Lord. That means that you do not want to do anything to displease Him. When Jesus was talking about giving the spirit of fear, that's being afraid of anything else, or being afraid of the enemy, or afraid of this, or afraid of that. But the fear of the Lord is not really actually being afraid, except respecting the Lord and loving Him so much that you would not want to displease Him.
Mm-hmm.
So the second question, I don't know about surgery. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure. So
yeah, but you're right. That fear of the Lord in connotation, it encompasses a lot. And the main thing is respect. That you really respect and you honor God. You also understand His sovereignty or sovereignty. He's sovereign. You understand that God is sovereign, and you respect that in such a way that you honor Him. Okay. And so in this case, he moved with fear. In other words, he won't play. He went ahead and did it quickly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He wasn't nonchalant with it. He went with with force, I guess, to get these things done because what God had told him, and so he moved with that fear because God had told him. So it's in that is the understanding of who God is. He's sovereign, and that you really you're reverencing Him to the highest level, right? Now this fear that not the fear of the other part is what we were talking about. It's like the opposite of faith. You're afraid, one that you believe God will do it, and now you are afraid of the circumstances. Oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Oh, I'm afraid about this. Oh, I'm scared. And it goes more than just mentally. It's a spiritual thing that you're actually afraid. It's a place in your spirit that you are just afraid or petrified or some type of way that you cannot operate in the faith of God because you're so overwhelmed or overcome by His Spirit. And God said, don't let this Spirit overcome you. Have faith in me. All right? Because if you believe me, you don't have to worry about those things that people are saying or circumstances or whatever. Any comments? Is everybody getting a good understanding of faith? Because we can go deeper in this. And I believe that everyone here will kind of sharpen your faith tonight.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
You're right. Fear can come upon you, right? If God tells you to do something. But do you ever have an answer of why you're afraid?
Some people do. They said, I'm afraid because what happened last time. You know, I'm afraid because this person is bitter. I'm afraid. Now, if you're talking about in the context, if it's you know, comes up to the word of God, of course not. But if you ask a person why, they'll give you the answer why. You know, that's what they'll say. Well, I'm afraid because the person's bigger than me. I'm afraid because of my boss did. I'm afraid this is that's what they'll say.
Well, with me, I learned something. And it was God gave me a lot of promises, right? And so I think, I'm almost sure that I started out and then I just got kind of paralyzed. And then I had to ask myself why. And it was that I thought that I would have to do all of this stuff. I just need to do the physical part and let him do the spiritual part. And then the spiritual part, I didn't know how to do, but at that moment, I didn't think about it like spiritual aspect. I couldn't do it anyway. I don't know all the people he's going to pick and connect me with. Like that word you gave me with the blue chain. I didn't know. Now, I knew that word was true, but I don't know what he was going to pull to people. You know, it's none of my business. Just do what he told me to do. That's my business. And that's what I've been doing. That's so bad. It's a heavy weight, and it doesn't have to be. No, it doesn't. When he gave the promise, he didn't say, and he said, I'm going to do this. He didn't say, you're going to do it. He said, I'm going to do it. And that time, I took all that weight on myself.
So you got to understand. So that came by the Spirit, right?
Exactly.
So the Spirit ministered to you.
Right. And you know a good thing about it? I had to say thank you anyway. Because one day, I may meet somebody who's going through the same thing, and then I can minister to them.
Exactly.
So that's why you give thanks. One.
And that's why you have understanding too, because you can minister to someone. It's wonderful when we get it, and it's what you should have. But now you can minister to someone because you don't. When someone maybe they have faith, they don't have faith, or they're in fear. They have all these A, B, C, D problems, you know. But God has the answer, right? And we want to help them get the answer. So by us, first of all, being unsaved, understanding what it was like, understanding how we came, now we can minister to them, not in judgment, not judge them, but we can minister to them because we understand who they are. You know, and so we know the words, and also the Holy Spirit gives us the words. All right, and then as He does it, then they can also do it. And that's why we're going over this such a way, because you know, I've been in church pretty much all my life, and I don't know if y'all grew up in church, but you hear all this stuff in church, and sometimes you understand it, sometimes you don't. But then they don't always explain everything. So, oh, this is just the way it is. But really, and a lot of times it is the way it is, but there's a reason why it's the way it is.
Amen.
And if you can just share that according to the Word of God, people can understand it in your head.
I have
Yes.
one comment. I know we're primarily talking about faith, but I just want to give an example about the fear of the Lord.
Okay.
So I've already had this story before, but for the internet audience, there's this person that I know, really good kid. He's going to has a scholarship at Southeastern. His name's Chris Barnett. He's the hardest worker that I've ever seen in my entire career. Like, I've known the kid since I was 9. Never, ever, ever saw him take a rep off. 100%, every single time. And I asked him this winter. We went to Bonefish Grill after one of his games. Really, really talented, really, really great, hardest worker. I asked him, I was like, what makes you so intense all the time? You already got a scholarship. You're already captain of the basket team. You already have all of this. Yet, you guys were winning by 25 points. You did all of this. Why go intense all this time? And he said, well, I love basketball. And I was like, Chris, I know you. There's a whole lot of people in basketball. He is a Christian, really, really great Christian. And he said something really wise. He said that he did not want to waste one day of his gifts. He didn't want to waste it. He didn't want to waste 1 minute. He didn't want to waste 1 second because he knows that that gift was what God gave him. He did not want to waste it. He wanted to use it to the best of his ability. He had that intensity and he had that reverence not to waste his gift. And that's and I didn't really recognize it, but I recognize it now that that was actually the fear of the Lord.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. Scratch that. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, thank you, Amy. Let's see. Verses 8. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, let's go 8 through 10. And
By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go into a place which he should have to receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, that heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God.
any comments?
It seems like a lot of people, whenever like God is doing something, sometimes it takes you out of your comfort. What's familiar to you.
Yes, I agree with that. He takes you out of your comfort, but he had to leave the place that he was familiar with. And if you read the scriptures, he had to leave his father. You know? And, didn't know what he was going on. So that's why God can take you out of your comfort zone so that you can trust in him. Right? Anyone else?
We look for a city which has foundations whose builder and maker is God.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
So we're in the land of promise as in a strange country, or as in a strange country, dwelling in the tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, that heirs with him.
All right, so let's go to 11 and 12. And let's see, 11 and 12. Oh,
Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable.
okay. Who else give me give the story of Sarah?
She was up in age and she couldn't get pregnant. And God did a miracle with her, and she did. But she had her, what I think they called her, Hagar, bear a son for Abraham, but nevertheless, God kept his promise to her. And she had the baby. And let's see, it says that therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so as good as his darkness family. I know that. I know God had made Abraham a promise that I think he said, look at the sand or something, that it would be, yeah. The people were saying, as many people you can't count the same, right? And so, here we are. Don't you believe it?
Amen.
And you know the beauty of it? No matter what race you are, if you believe in Abraham, I mean, if you have faith in God, you are a seed.
All right, anyone else? Anyone else? Let me say what, so, or add to
It's
it.
probably just a typo, like, a lot of them said Sarah's name is S-A-R-A.
Yeah, yeah. And so sometimes in the New Testament, they give a different word, different name, like, I believe, like Jeremiah, what's it, Jeremiah's in the New Testament, or Elias. It's sometimes when you go from Elias. So sometimes in the New Testament, they'll give them another word, another name, because you remember, basically, the New Testament, even though it's all English, the New Testament is Greek, and the Old Testament is Hebrew. Sometimes there's a little bit of different change there. But we do know in the Old Testament, her name was Sarah, and then God changed it to Sarah.
In the King James Version, it's S-A-R-A, and in this version, it's S-A-R-A-H. So, okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah. So, anyone have anything to say about Sarah?
I have a question of, basically, question and statement 2 of verse 11. So, with the starting off saying, he prayed also Sarah herself received strength to receive seed, that the whole receive strength part. Is that because at first when it was told her that she was going to have a child, she laughed, and when she laughed at that point, was there no faith? And then later on, she got faith, and is that how she received the strength?
Well, that's the point we want to get out. That God had given promises, but Sarah laughed at him. Right? So that's the point. That she laughed. And God said, told Abraham, Sarah laughed. Don't you know that I can, paraphrase, that I'm God, I can do anything? And Abraham said that you laughed. He said, and for Sarah was crazy, I didn't laugh. He said, no, you did laugh. So she laughed. But now we're here. And it's saying that, that of course she did receive. She did have a child eventually. It says here in verse 11, of course, it says that through faith also Sarah received strength to receive and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she just and faithful. So this is where it is, because she just and faithful. See, this is one thing I believe the Lord wants y'all to understand. Okay? God's going to speak to you. When you read the Word of God and get into the Word of God, or hear a prophetic word, or whatever, He gives you a promise. All right? When you believe it, you're in. That's it. You're in. And see, what happens is some people don't wait to the end. But as long as you keep believing, you're good. But some people stop. So right here, at this point in time, of course, had to be after she doubted and after she laughed, that she judged him faithful who had promised. And she believed until he did it. All right? And to answer your question here, through faith, she received strength. So the strength was a miracle. All right? Because her body was not strong enough to have a baby or whatever. But she received the strength was a miracle from God that He gave her that she could have that baby. And so one of the hit messages is, I want you to understand faith. You're in, and some people say, well, and just talking about how people think sometimes, oh, they don't have it yet, or it hasn't happened yet. And then they get in worry or they get in doubt or these sort of things. But as long as you keep believing, you're in. And just wait till the end. Wait till He does it. All right? And then you will be rewarded for your faith. All right? Any other comments on, or you see anything else here with Sarah, with verses 11 and 12? one thing we want to add to this, Sarah, is that for everyone here, everyone in the audience, you can change. If you missed it, you can change. Sarah missed it, she missed it, but still, eventually the light bulb went off, whatever happened, that she trusted God before she didn't. She trusted him, and then she got her miracle. So it's you feel like now you have understanding faith, now your faith is building and growing. Because when you have a promise from God, it's like a ticket that cannot be denied, right? But in our natural minds and how we think sometimes, that I really hear God, is God really going to do it, or what if these people over here, and then what about, all these things to be going through your mind. Of course, there is an enemy too. He's trying to talk you out of your faith, The enemy will send people to try to talk you out of your faith. You waited too long. You should be doing something else. But man, you still waiting. Think about this. How many have y'all? Has everybody here waited for something more?
Yes.
Can you think about some of the people who have talked to you that know you're waiting? Think about some of them, and some of them could be loved ones they love you. You think about some of the people what they have said, They could be in church, it could be in ministry, it could be family, it could be one of your friends, one of your girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. Some of the things they say. And they're sent by the enemy, unknown to them, because they don't know what they're talking about. But he's using them to try to talk you out of your blessing, talk you out of your faith.
I learned a good lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell them anything.
Oh, yeah.
Tell the people who believe. Don't tell them anything. I only talk to people who I know without talk to you and you. I talk to you. No.
That's good wisdom.
No, that is good wisdom. Because I'm gonna tell you what, when those words come in, they cut deep and it hurts. And I just don't. I don't even care if they hit a dead on the nose. I go, okay. I don't even, I just don't.
But that's good wisdom. But you also know that pretty much everybody told somebody something. So you have to start somewhere. So after your experience, you have the wisdom not to tell people. But in the beginning, man, do you know what God told me? God told me. He's gonna send you over here. You're so excited and everything. You start telling people, wow, man. Wow. And then they start looking at you. But what I'm saying is, see, you grow, So in the beginning, you have all this enthusiasm, because God told you something, you know what I mean? I mean, when God first starts speaking to you, aren't you excited?
Yeah.
Don't you think everybody else will be happy for you?
Yeah.
When I first started out, I said, man, you think you join the church and everybody in the church is on fire for God and everybody knows God. So now you get to be with people who love God too, and you can just start sharing all these sort of things, and you find out it's not always that way. You know what I'm saying? So by experience, kind of learning, you say, and of course, if you catch somebody again, of course they can learn too. But still, I do agree. In experience, you should not tell anybody.
Right, and you know something else too?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was going to agree with you, Ms. Massey, because I made that mistake today. I was actually talking to someone, and I was just so I just couldn't believe it. What she said. She said that I don't know how we got on the education. We started on education. I don't know how we got to the subject, but she was like, it's people are hopeless. I was like, no, they're not hopeless, because once they receive God, so no, once they receive God, they can be hopeless too. I was like, no, that doesn't work. And then she was trying to give examples about people with in Africa with malaria and things like that. And I was like, if they received Christ, then they're a brand new creature. And we actually spent like 30 minutes talking about it. And I just felt in my spirit just to say, you know what, okay, that's fine. You have a great day. and I'll see you tomorrow. Because I was it. Because it was just like it was just a stop in my spirit, just to say, you know what, she's not going to do so. So, you know.
But see, in that situation, you were sowing seeds, and then they may get to the point about that's enough. You know, so it doesn't mean initially you should have said what you said. So, because a lot of think about it, you know, I know how many of us have received good advice and good taste. How many of us God was speaking to us and we didn't understand it. But eventually one day we got it, we got saved. So those could be seeds of soul, and then God just said, that's enough. No. Like the lesson.
Oh, I was gonna say that, like sharing what God told you with the wrong people. I told you it was a weight, right? So it takes a while to come from under that. And it reminds me, I don't know if you guys used to watch cartoons, but you know how somebody has a big boulder and they go to the cliff and you're I'm not trying to be funny. And they know you're down there, but you don't know they're going to boulder. It comes as a shock. It just, with me, what I experienced, it just kind of just wipes you out. And then it takes a little while to get back to that point of enthusiasm and believe in God. And so, like, hardly anybody in my family knows what's happening in my life and space. They know I'll pray for them, but they don't know it's not me and my promises. Yeah.
But you know, we all have these walks and these difficulties and these things we have to work through, whether it's things like this or something else that moves our walk with God we don't understand, or things we have to work through ourselves, even in our own spirit, things that we are not who we think we are. You know, we think we got it going on sometimes, but God has to show us no, not done that way. So, you know, so many things we have to work out, not just with people, but ourselves, to continue with God and just grow in Him. Yeah, but that's good. Any other comments on not only this verse, but just comments on faith or any examples that y'all have for yourselves? You know, when God gives you a promise, usually it's wonderful. Have you ever got great promises or little promises?
Great.
Great
Go,
great promises, right? Great promises that you have to believe something. God, wow, that God would do for me. God's going to do this for me. Wow. And now you have to have this faith and have to wait. And like you say, you shouldn't tell everybody. But if you do tell people, then, you know, you have to kind of brush yourself off when they don't, you know, receive it or whatever. And sometimes, you know, the enemy will set you up because sometimes you don't want to tell a whole lot of people. You know, but you got this one good friend who y'all really tight, and you'll tell that one friend, and you find out that one friend may not have been as good as you thought. And that happens. Huh? Yeah, so, but you all grow. You just grow and you learn. But we want our faith to continue. That's the main thing. Our faith have to stand through the persecution, have to stand through our own personalities, our own whatever it is that we need to be developed through. Have to stand through however long God takes us to wait. We have to go through what the enemy tries to do to us. Our faith is like, you know, your belief, your faith has to stand the test of fire. All right? Because I'm telling you, it's more than just believing God. There's so many things that come against you. You can try to do everything perfect, but there's going to be some things, you know, well, I didn't want to tell this person. I want to do it this way. I want to do it that way. But some things are going to happen. All right? And you're going to have to stand in faith.
That's right. That's right. Right. And you know what else too? When you get the promise and you go out, that doesn't mean it's going to work right there and right there. Because when God first started with my first business, I got, you know, I did everything He told me to do. But when I got to the show, nobody bought anything. But He's looking for persistence and not perfection. So I went to another show and just a few things sold. Now, mind you, I'm putting the money out for the booth and everything, but I'm not getting anything back, right? But then the third time I went, it's like kaboom. And to me, that meant I want you to know that I'm doing this, not you. So, you know, stay humble and in faith and keep praising God and keep the one that makes me happy.
Okay. All right. Now, let's see, 13. Jasmine, can you read 13, please?
You ready?
You ready 11 and 12?
Yeah. Oh, because I'm on the wrong page. You should find the blood of goats.
Okay, we all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they speak the country.
Okay, go ahead.
And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country that is in heaven. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city.
Amen. Glory to God. Amen. Amen. All right, any comments, questions, please? Or verses?
What is 15?
And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from which they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. So I believe that when he's talking about here, and it goes to verse 16, that kind of explains it. So now they desire a better country. That's a heavenly. So in other words, that's saying there's certain things that, a person can want. Well, I want a big house, or I want to be or I want to be wealthy, or I want these natural things, okay? And we start out with, but then you start to talk about how you start wanting something heavenly things, and some of these, storing up your treasures in heaven, winning souls for the Lord, all these sort of spiritual things, and then start understanding anybody who's walked without the Lord, they go through something. You desire to be in heaven, That's what Jesus, he was ready to go. He said that, if you know that I'm going, you should be happy for me because you know where I'm going. So we start desiring heaven, okay? And their desire now is more for heaven than it is for the natural things.
Amen.
And you talk about they might have had opportunity to have returned.
Yes. And, well, because I'm just saying what I believe. They may have had opportunity. So do you want to remain? Do you want to continue? Do you want to stay where you are? Or do you want to stay in the spirit? All right? Because, and this is just my opinion, okay? All right? Once you start really desiring those heavenly things, it's not that you don't want good things in the natural. The things, your heart really starts desiring things of God, right? But you have a choice, right? And many people make that choice and say, well, I just want to stick with the natural. I don't want to really pursue the heavenly things. I'm saved. I want to be comfortable in my house. I want to be, comfortable in my finances. They're going to talk about just come back, And so now your mind is more set in the natural than it's the spirit. You just want to be comfortable. And a lot of Christians, many Christians make that decision. I want to be comfortable. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to continue to try to strive for the great things of God. They say, man, the price is too high, it costs me too much. I just want to go back and just relax and save. And I go to church and that's all I want to do. So they kind of settle back in that natural, even though they're still spiritual beings, even though they're still the nature of life. And a lot of people, it is a choice, And it is a price to pay. So, but see, you have to understand something. We're talking about We're talking about Abel. We're talking about Enoch, Noah, Abraham, and Sarah. The reason why the Lord said these are champions of faith, they made a decision that other, Jews or Christians didn't make. They went after the great things that God had promised them and continue and believe for those things. And Pastor Rice. Amen. Glory to God. Glory to God. Does that make sense? I mean, if you don't, that's what I believe.
But he gives us that option. He doesn't force us to do anything. He does give us free will. He gives us a choice. He presents promises. He shows us, signs, leads us out. But like we always have the opportunity, I guess, to retreat or say no.
And so,
opportunity is the right word, but
right.
the choice, I guess.
And see this right here, and it goes into something deeper. And if you read it, you say, wow, this is terrible, So it says here, verse 13 says, all these died in faith, not having received the promises. And if you go a little bit further, it talks about why. Because God kept it from them so that we could be included. So they died not receiving the promise or entering into Jesus Christ, all right? Why? Because God wanted to wait that we could be included, all right? So they died believing, all right? So, but, it was better for us because God didn't want us to be left out. That's more of revelation to put the scriptures together. Any comments or questions? All right, verse 17, 18, and 19. Josh.
By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. And he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called, accounting that God was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in faith.
Amen. All right, anybody comments on that? Please, Mrs.
I guess when they said it was basically God when he was testing to see where his heart was. That was
Okay, testing. And which one were you saying? You said he tried him? Yeah, he was testing. You're right. He was testing him to see what his heart is. Perfect. And why do you think God did that with Isaac?
I guess
Yeah.
I guess maybe the way I think of it is like God is trying to see, are you going to give me the only thing that you, I guess, see is valuable?
Well, I agree with that. I agree. And it was a test. He did try him. And because if you think about it, that was the one thing that God had given him, the most precious thing that he had. And so God tested him to see who he loved the most. I see God can try us to he's going to test us and see if there's something in your life that you love him from him. And it could be something that a lot of people say, well, it could be a husband, it could be a wife, it could be a daughter, it could be a son, it could be a job, it could be a promotion, it could be a position in the church, or whatever it is. It can be connected to something good, not something terrible. And, God, he may bless you with it. And see now, or you satisfied with this thing, and now your relationship with him is second. to what he gave you. And so it was a great test. It's probably one of the most, I guess in the Bible, it's one of the greatest, I don't want to say scenes, the greatest events that happen when he's decided to sacrifice Isaac.
And God is a type and shadow of Jesus.
Exactly.
And, it's such a poignant
Mm-hmm.
example of that same thing actually does happen. Because when the son spared,
Right,
but
exactly.
with Jesus, he wasn't spared. He went through that for our sake.
Exactly.
It's the weight of what he actually did even greater.
Amen. And see, you understand the things that happen in the Old Testament and these spiritual things. So for anyone who's listening, because this goes all over the world, God's not going to ask you to do this. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to ask you to sacrifice your son, so it's sacrificing him on the altar. He's not going to do it. Okay? As a priest, as a member, he's not going to ask you to go and sacrifice your son on the altar. He's not. But spiritually, he may ask you to give up something. And maybe it's his son that you just adore, and now you can't do what God's called you to do because of his son. Now you need to discipline your son, but you don't want to discipline your son. The Bible says different, but you don't want to. All these things. And it could be your wife, your beautiful wife, and now, God tells you to do one thing, but your wife says you can do something else. And then you do what your wife says. No, that's not go. But I love my wife. I should do what no, you have to do what God says. Your wife should respect you more, you men of God. If you do what God says, you gotta do it, So you men have to be strong. It doesn't mean you don't love your wife, but you gotta do what God says, And any job, God may give you a promotion. And Pastor Oz, can you share that example that someone called about, how he had to repent, please?
Which one was the
The job,
job?
the man, he had to repent.
Oh, the church calling.
Yes, right, the church call.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, we had a young man who called in and he said that
He actually was trying to pay a bill online, so he was calling on 1-800 number. And I told him that this is a house of prayer, this is a prayer line. And so he said, he really was calling to pay a bill, but he wanted prayer. And then I asked him, so what do you want prayer for? And he said, well, I'm moving from I guess he had a big house to this very small studio apartment, and that his job was ending, and that, just a lot of chaos that was going on in his life.
He loses his wife.
Yeah, his wife divorced him too. Yeah, so he had a lot of things that happened. And so, the Holy Spirit revealed to me that he left his first love, which was what Jesus Christ. I said, God said, if you stop going to church when you got your promotion, and you stop serving him when you got this big house, and God is saying that you stop doing all the things that you were doing before you got this blessing. And so he cried, he was crying on the phone, and he repented. He said, yeah, that's right. He said, I did do that. And so he gave his life back to the Lord. And I prayed for him.
Amen. So nothing that God gives us to take us away from our relationship with him. It's not the way it works, right? So, one of the things that God gives you can become an idol. Or you can just put God second fiddle. And God will not be second fiddle to anyone. That's just the way he is.
Amen.
Amen. Any other comments? But great question. Great question. And even a great answer. Anyone else? Okay. Jaleesa, could you 23, please?
yes, sir. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the pardon of the children of Israel and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child and they were not afraid of the king's commandment.
Amen. So, I want your comments and your questions, but I want to ask something. It says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. All right. In these 4 verses, can someone give me the evidence? Verse 20, someone take 21, someone take 22, someone take 23. What was the evidence of the faith? Who wants to take verse 20?
By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. The things hadn't come, but he believed they would.
Yeah.
It says things to come that were not seen.
Those things that we're not seeing. Let's say it one more time.
Then it says, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come.
Right.
So concerning regarding things to come, he knew that they were going to come, but because they were in existence, he still believed that they were coming, and he blessed them.
Right. So that's right.
As if they were there.
So Isaac blessed Jacob was the evidence of the faith. All right. Anyone else take 21? And Vanessa was sharing behind the scenes why it was. And the search had to know the story a little bit, knowing why it took faith for him to do that. But the act of faith was that he blessed Jacob.
Amen.
All right, verse 21. Who wants to take that one?
Chapter 21 is the evidence is when Jacob blessed both the sons of Joseph and worship.
Right. So the act of faith was he blessed both his sons and you worship. Okay? So that was the act of the faith. Okay? All right, 22.
By faith, Joseph prophesied that the people of Israel would be Egypt.
All right. In my words, it said he gave commandment concerning his bones. So he gave commandment. All right. So prophesying and giving a commandment is different. Okay. All right. What version do you have?
Well, I was actually reading from, what is this, the American Standard Version? It says, it didn't say prophesy, it says, by faith that Joseph, when he was about to die, right, said confidently that the people of Israel would be Egypt. He even commanded them to take his bones with them in their life.
Okay.
So
you said, so that made mention of the departing. Okay. All right. Very good. Now, verse 23. What was the evidence? Taken in 3 months. All right. Very good. Now, in verse 23, you can see more of the second question. So, but that's you, and you answered verse 20 and verse 21. You answered verse 21. What did
I did 20.
And then Aaron did 22. Okay. So, and Vanessa kind of already did. So we go to verse 21. So we said at verse 21 that when he was he blessed both his sons, right? Now, why was that faith?
Because he knew he was dying. And he wanted to bless him before
I'm
he died.
asking calls because of this. It's okay. Yeah, okay. That's okay. Why was it faith? That's okay. That's okay. Because remember, we're going back to verse. It says, now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So we see what was done, but now, why was it done? Okay. And it kind of, if it builds on some of the things we already talked about when we talked with Vanessa, we didn't talk about Paul, it's going to build on the same things, the same principles that we talked about, okay?
Well, of course, after it says by faith, then it says, and he was dying. But even though he was dying, he had faith in what God wanted him to do. God wanted him to bless his sins. So by faith, he obeyed.
Mm-hmm.
He did it even though he was dying. If he didn't have faith, he wouldn't have done it.
Right. Okay. Everybody agree? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. All right, verse 22. All right, Aaron. Okay. Why was it faith when he, why was it faith when he gave commandment and also made mention?
Kind of along with what Carlton said, I hear about the guy as well. But he said by faith, and he said confidently that people we should believe, even though he wasn't going to go with them. So he had to have faith and made that commandment.
Okay. Do y'all agree with that? Okay, very good. So in these last few moments here, we want to make sure we kind of understand this. Okay. We already talked with Vanessa, and she gave us a really good example at the beginning. Who's done something? Give us an example that you added in faith. Who wants to give an example? You did something in faith that you know.
2 years ago, when I was working at a job, I didn't have a backup.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, because normally I can get a job like that, but we had 4 months without anything, and I was trusting God. I quit my job because I knew it was my time to go. But I said, I need money, like I'm really like saving.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow each month, God made a way for me to pay all my bills. And then when I was about to run out of my savings, that's when I got a job and I got hired that same day, like on my interview on the spot. But then, of course, my new job, I know it wasn't where God wanted me to be, but it was like a meantime kind of thing for me to have enough income. And I feel like God was trying to work on my heart because I used to have that. And I know I used to like if supervisor tell me something, I'm kind of like, you know what you're talking about, you like this kind of thing. And God was really working on me, and then to the point where close to the year mark of my new job that I got, like it was a transformation. My mom told me something. She was like, "Oh, your attitude is better. Like you're not telling people where they can go." And I'm like,
That's good.
And so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone from Lenovo reached out to me saying, "Hey, we have an opening for this position. We want to interview you. Would you like to come in?" And I didn't apply for the job, and I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And so I went and I interviewed. I got it. I mean, I started making more, like twice as more than what I was making before.
Right.
Yeah, and literally the year I started, the year mark that.
Very good.
Praise God.
I think that's a great story because what happened was, say you quit your job, and that was the act. But behind that, because people may quit their job and may not be picked up, but you said the reason why you quit your job because you believe, right? And that was so that it's a substance within you believe in this when you acted, okay? And then God took you somewhere because he was directing you. And then and so because it was faith, he met your needs in all those months, and then gave you a job that helped you to develop into the person that you needed to be for the other job.
Amen.
Amen. Praise God.
Amen.
Glory to God. Amen. So all on this journey of faith, and you have to just take the steps, but we have to have that faith. Why do we do what we do? It has to be faith. It can't be fear, or it shouldn't be fear. At least get to the point that it's faith. And that's how it works. And if we can understand, and it goes back, we had the sermon last week. Who can remember the title? Last week's sermon. Integrity of heart. See, God knows your integrity of heart. He knows if you're doing it in faith or if you're doing it in fear. And when you do things in faith, He's always going to back you up. Okay?
Amen.
It's just the way it is. Right? And so you are operating in something unseen. They see your act, but they don't understand the substance. Why do you do that? Why do you praise God when things are going wrong? Why do you continue to go to church? Why do you quit your job? Don't you know what the economy is doing? I mean, why? But they don't understand that you're operating in faith, and and when you operate in faith, God sees it and He's going to respond.
Amen.
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 So now we all should be able to hang on to the faith that we have, all right? And also respond to when God tells us something, okay? Because it's not God to give us a promise to read something or get a prophetic word and people believe it. And so now when you start believing, start operating, okay? And don't let it go.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Okay, so that's going to be our Bible study for tonight. Are there any other questions or comments about faith? Any other testimonies? Or?
I want to share testimony. They can go first. I'll go last.
It's a testimony. Yeah,
Well, it's too If it's a testimony, it's coming from that.
Okay, so I have a testimony about my current job. So I'm going to read to you what a customer said, and this goes along with the my managers had a challenge going on for the employees, and I was like, okay. But the Lord spoke through this customer. I want to read to you what the customer said. It's all over the wall. So it says, "Great job, Jaleesa. This is my first time at my job. Aside from the food being very good, the service received by Jaleesa was outstanding. She deals with the public all day. I'm sure many of them rude and not very nice, yet she remained unjaded. She was extremely patient with us as we worked our way through the many choices. She made great suggestions, and she had a pleasant demeanor and smile on her face the entire time. Quite frankly, I would have thought that she was the franchise owner by the way she conducted herself. You are fortunate to have her and your employee, and makes me want to go back again. Don't ever think a smile and sincere pleasantries don't matter, ... because they do. It makes your business stand out from the rest. She was not an order taker, but a customer satisfaction specialist, smiley face."
All right, great.
So that was on the wall. If y'all want to, it was on the wall of my manager's thing in our little back office. Not real part. So that's the first part that I saw. So God, not only did God allow me to see that He's pleased with what I do at my current job, but that's not all. So my manager and the owner of the corporation I work for brought me to their office this past week, and I didn't know what's going on at all. So I go in, I'm like, "Lord, have your way." I started walking there, and they said, "Sit down." I'm like, "Okay." So I sit down, and my general manager's right here, the owner of the corporation is right there, and she's like, "We've been talking about you for a whole month." And I was like, "Hope it was a good thing." Yeah. So long story short, so they both looked at me and they were like, "Lisa, we really appreciate your service that you do for the corporation." And they were like, "You know what you're gonna say?
it's the Lord. And I'm like, you're right, it's the Lord. And they were like, no, seriously, they're like, seriously, no, they're like, seriously, we really appreciate your decorum and the way you carry yourself here and the way that you bring light, you know, to the corporation. So going by faith with our topic here, my owner, she said, now I remember when you came in that day, and I remember when you walked in and you were excited and you were like, are you guys hiring? And she was like, Jaleesa, I remember when you came in. And she was like, I remember something about you is so different. And she was like, Jaleesa, I know I said it before, and I know I said it all the time, but she was like, today I'm so serious. She said, I'm so glad God brought you to this corporation. She was like, you really helped like bring light to this place. And she was like, I know, we talk about the Lord all the time, I know, you know, but she was like, but seriously, not seriously. She's like, no. This is from me, managers, this is from coworkers, this is from everybody that calls, corporate calls me all the time with, but who is this Lisa girl? And she was saying, so they want to give me a managerial pay raise, but I don't have to be a manager yet. It's only if I want to, but they started the process for me to have that pay raise. So instead of a single digit, I got 2 digits. This past week, and I just said, "Wow, praise God!" I don't know what they're going to tell me when they come sit down. So I just thank the Lord, and I'm just honored to do the will of Him while I'm at the season that I'm with them.
Praise God. Glory to God.
And they told me that was just one of the stars. They in the office there, you guys, it's like mind blowing. There's like pages, like I was like, I'm like, how many people do I see a day? Like, and they were like, listen, these people, and they told back my information. They were like, listen, people call our office, like talking about your service. They're asking, she was saying, they're asking me why you're not a manager, why you're not, and they were like, why is she not promoted? Like, why is she, you know? And she was like, I have to respect. She goes to church. I can't just pull her out of things. So, and I was like, wow, thank you for even being respectful of that. You know? So, just praise the Lord.
Praise God. That is awesome. God is good. And we know that you're faithful. You are such a light in that place. So you're glorifying Him in that place.
So they know about the God-led community baby shower that God's going to do next month. So they're going to bless us with the food for the entire. Amen. And she wants to buy more stuff for it too, like for people to eat. And she's going to bring it. She's like, no, come on me. Tell people, you know, I'll bring it to you. I'm like, okay. Praise the Lord.
But you know, you have a very jovial personality with the delicacy of a beautiful butterfly. You really do. You really do. It's always, never downcast. Even your voice inflection and everything. Very jovial.
Thank you.
Testimony.
Oh, that's a moment. Okay. I just wanted to, comment on how God will take care of you when you take whatever happens. But anyway, I remember when I was working, I was told that my hours would be cut 50% because I would not lie, and so this is fine. So then I went in my closet and I sat there, and as I was sitting there, I told God, I said, this is going to mess with my ties. And then He didn't say anything, so I went in my closet and I sat, and then 5 ravens showed up right on the right side of me. It was 5, they all landed one right after the other, and then they turned and looked up towards the sky to the right. And I kept giving that same amount of time. And I don't know how I made it through, but it was just like they never cut my hours. I don't know how it happened, but we just did it.
Praise God. Well, praise God. That's when we got Bible study for tonight. Are there any prayer requests? Okay, Oh, yes, please.